China has treated us with great respect. Now, in the past, they didn't treat other presidents with great respect. They would take hundreds of billions and even trillions of dollars out of the country, and they would spend it and build their military. Now they're treating us with great respect. Now, we'll see what happens. I said, if we don't make a deal, I'm putting on an additional 100% on November 1st. I think we'll make a deal. They threatened us with rare earths, and I threatened them with tariffs, but I could also threaten them with many other things, like airplanes. You know about airplanes because they can't get parts for their airplanes. We build their airplanes. We do a great job. They're largely Boeings, and we could stop the parts. We did stop the parts, actually, when they did the initial threat. That's a big... They closed down over 400 of their airplanes, but we don't want to do that. But we have a much simpler thing. If we don't make a deal, we'll charge them a very substantial tariff. And they'll be paying us hundreds of billions of dollars a year, which they're basically paying right now. We had presidents that allowed China and other countries get away with murder. We're not going to allow that, but we're going to have a fair deal. I want to be good to China. I love my relationship with President Xi. We have a great relationship. I believe after we leave South Korea, we'll be there together. We thought that would be a good place to meet, and we're going to be meeting. I'll be in Malaysia, I'll be in Japan, I'll be in a couple of others. We'll be sort of doing a little bit of a tour. I've been invited to go to China, and I'll be doing that sometime fairly early next year. We have it sort of set. But I think we're going to have a very good relationship with China. And again, they will threaten us with rare earths. I don't think they're threatening us too much right now. But they could do that, but I threaten them with something I think is much more powerful, and that's tariffs. Because at a certain point, they will not be able to do any business with us. At a certain point, if they pay enough tariffs, it's almost like saying, we don't want to do business with you, but it's probably nicer. Saying you're going to pay 158, 157% tariff is a nicer way of saying that we don't want to do business with you. And if they don't do business with us, I think China's in big trouble, I'll be honest with you. I think China is, I don't know that they even make it. I really do. I believe that they're in big trouble. And I don't want them to be in big trouble. I want them to do great. I want them to thrive. But we have to thrive together. It's a two-way street. I think when we finish our meetings, and it's going to be a big deal. I'm meeting with a lot of other countries, but this seems to be the one that people are very interested in. I think when we finish our meetings in South Korea, China and I will have a really fair and really great trade deal together. I want them to buy soybeans. They stopped buying our soybeans because they thought that was punishment. And it is punishment to our farmers, but we're not going to allow that to happen because I made a great trade deal with China, a $50 billion trade deal, and they were great about it. They were doing everything that they were supposed to do. And then when Biden came in, you know, I used to call President Xi all the time to say, thank you, or you're not buying enough. In other words, they were supposed to buy. Biden, do you think Biden ever called him? I don't think Biden ever called him. You think Biden lied awake at night thinking about trade with China? He didn't know what he was doing. He was an incompetent president. We had an incompetent president, but you don't have that anymore. So I think we're going to end up having a fantastic deal with China. It's going to be a great trade deal. It's going to be fantastic for both countries. And it's going to be fantastic for the entire world.
Can the US and Australia really compete with China? Aren't we decades behind in terms of the development?
No. You've been reading the wrong newspapers. We're not decades. We are way ahead of China militarily, the United States. We're way ahead of them in every form of military, other than they're building a lot of ships, and we'll have that started. We'll be catching them on that. But we will, when it comes to weaponry, when it comes to, I'll go right now, AI. The big thing is AI. They're building more plants in this country than anybody ever imagined. We're going to have over $20 trillion of investment for this year. The most we ever had was a tiny fraction of that. As an example, Biden, who's the worst president in the history of our country by far, by the way, but they were less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We're already now breaking $18 trillion of investment in 8 months. 18 trillion. No country in history has ever done that. We're way ahead of China in AI, and we're way ahead of China militarily from the standpoint of the sophisticated weapons. We have weapons that a lot of people don't even know about, and I got them started 4 years ago. I rebuilt the military 4 years ago, fortunately, because Biden didn't do anything but give a piece of it away to Afghanistan. Fortunately, as much as it sounded like it was a small part of what I built, but the Afghanistan giveaway was one of the worst. That was probably the most embarrassing day in the period in the history of our country. But we have the greatest military, we have the best equipment, we have the best manufacturers of equipment, we have the best weapons. When you look at our weapons, I've been talking a lot about our weapons. Everybody wants our weapons.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.